This is your daily reminder. God has not run out of mercy, not for you, not today. Welcome to the New Mercies Podcast. Welcome. Today is Tuesday, June the 23rd, and we are still in our series about the tabernacle. Maybe you're new here. Maybe this got shared to you, got pushed up an algorithm or something. Here's what we are. We're the New Mercies Podcast, and the goal is to be in the Word every single day. Be sure you subscribe and like and follow. Monday through Saturday, there is an episode that comes out. All these episodes do align with what I'm going to preach. I pastor a church in East Tennessee, and I preach every Sunday, and on those Sundays, so I'm preaching in a tabernacle series right now. And what I'm going to preach this coming week has to do with what we're going to read today. So the goal is that you would read and study my sermon before I preach it. That's what we try to do around here. And so it gives us all a little better understanding. And there's just too much to talk about in a sermon. You're not going to sit and listen to me for 5 hours teach out of the Bible. So we got to do this, break this up daily so that whenever we get there on Sunday, you get to hear and see all that God is trying to teach each of us as we go through His Word together. So be sure you subscribe, be sure you like, follow, all the things. And then if you ever felt compelled to donate, you can do so at the episode description. There's a link in there that leads to a donation page, and you can help keep us ad-free and moving in the right direction. If you donate anything, it's awesome. It's a blessing. If you don't donate anything, we're still doing this. I'm still going to press into your life. But today, our reading plan takes us to Exodus chapter number 28. And this is all about the priestly garments. Again, we're talking about the tabernacle. We're talking about, this past week we talked about the furniture in the tabernacle all the way up from Exodus 25 to 27. And now today is our new journey as we look at Exodus 28 and following in the next few days. This is the priest's garments, what the priests are supposed to wear. This is how they are designed. They're designed with a very unique purpose. I'm going to talk today, I'm going to read a couple of verses today that are specific just to the way, some of the garments that the priest wears. Now the priest, this is for Aaron. Aaron is Moses' brother. They are of the tribe of Levi. Levi's great-grandson is Aaron and Moses. That's his great-grandkids. Now, here's what happens. So Aaron gets to be the person that the priestly garments are made for. Aaron becomes the priest. Moses is the prophet. Aaron is the priest. And so Aaron he's going to have these garments made for him because the Lord has prescribed or said, this is the way I want this to be. There's something incredible at every piece of the priestly garments. I want to talk about one of those pieces today, specifically found in verse number 9, and then verses 17 through verse number 20. So I'm going to read verse number 9 first, and I'm going to give you a little hint as to what's going to happen. So in Exodus 28, be sure and read the whole chapter today. I know it's like, oh man, we're back to like these types of fabric, these types of linens, this is so confusing and so hard to understand. I know it is. It's okay. But listen to verse number 9. It says this: "You shall take 2 onyx stones and engrave on them the names of the sons of Israel." So here's how this works. So he's got 2 stones that are going to be on the top of his ephod. His ephod is it's really like a vest. It's got a hole for his head. It goes over top of him, and then he's got holes for his arms, and then it goes all the way down to about his knees. That's what the ephod is. And the way it's made, it's designed in here. It's really beautiful. It's amazing. But I want to talk about specifically these 2 onyx stones that are on the shoulders. Now, on them is engraved the 12 tribes of Israel. So it's got the 6 on one and the 6 on the other, right? So that's what's going on the shoulders. And these are stones that are up on the top of this ephod. Now, we may say, why are they onyx stones, right? And why are they inscribed on the people of Israel? God's people, the people that God is dwelling with in the tabernacle, okay? Here's what's going on. If you go and do a little bit of Bible research, this is just a little bit, you will find in Genesis chapter 2, the very first stone that is mentioned in the Bible is onyx. It was before the fall of man. So the shoulders of the high priest would point back to the sinless man, the man that God created us to be, the one that we were supposed to, when life was perfect and good. It points back to creation, the way God designed it in Eden, in that garden, where there's a river flowing. It's really beautiful. It's incredible. It's amazing. So the very stones on the ephod of the high priest on his shoulders were engraved with the people of God, and it was the stone that was mentioned very first in creation. That's a beautiful picture, right? Wow, that's awesome. That's amazing. There's more. I want to read down verse number 17, down through verse 20. I want to read just a couple of thoughts here. It says this, you shall set it. This is talking about the breastplate now. He's got a plate that goes over top of him on the ephod, and it's never to be separated from the ephod. That's important to know. A breastplate, it's a square on the chest of the high priest. So on Aaron's chest, on his shoulders was the onyx stones. On the chest was a breastplate. It was a square. In fact, I'm not even going to read those words. So here's what it is. There's 12 stones that are on this breastplate, and they are in 4 rows of 3. So if you can imagine a top row, then a second row, third row, fourth row, right? And so here's the deal. Those are all different, unique stones, all of them jewels of some type, and those 12 stones represented the children of Israel. Now, as you know, every time during some of these series, I've been writing notes. Here's my list of crazy notes today. I wrote down which tribe was assigned to what stone. Okay, now here's the thing. There's some stones that we are mentioned here that like we don't even know exactly which type of modern word we use for this stone. We do know the color scheme. We know kind of the way it's supposed to look or the thought behind it. But even different resources you read or you may see may have a little bit of a different color on the stone because we don't know exactly the modern definition of what that stone is. But we do know that it's also found, those 12 stones. I'm going to go ahead and say it because it's a hook that I was really going to wait and hold on to, but I'm not going to hold on to it anymore. So if onyx is the first stone mentioned in the creation when man was sinless, when everything was great, wouldn't you believe it that in Revelation 21 verses 19 through 20, it says, talking about the new place, that the new heaven, the new earth, the new place that we will dwell with God forever. Guess what its foundation is? 12 stones. It's 12 stones. How amazing is this? So on the high priest, on his shoulders, it points back to creation, the way God made it and intended it to be. And then on his breastplate, over the heart of the priest, we see the future for all of us. The place that we will dwell forever with God is based on the foundation is those 12 stones. Those 12 stones are on his heart. Here's what I want to say, though. As I was talking about this, the first row of stones, here's what the names of those tribes. So on the first row, for instance, it's Judah, Issachar, and Zebulun. Those are the 3 tribes that are on the first row of stones. So it tells you the stones. That's why I decided not to read this. In verses 17 through 20, it tells you the stones in the order. Later we find out which tribes are on those stones. And so here's what those stones kind of represent. So Judah is the first one. It's in Hebrew, you read right to left. So it's actually on the right side. It looks like it's the third in our culture today, but it's actually on the first in a Hebrew reading. Judah is the first. He's not the firstborn. Reuben was the firstborn of the 12 sons of Jacob. Or Israel, as his name got changed, so the first one mentioned is Judah, and it's a bright red, it's a ruby type color, it's a ruby type of jewel, and his lineage, his line, that stone represents kingship, is what that stone represents. It represents praise. His name, the name Judah is praise. The stone signifies kingship. So the first line, and the second one is Issachar. That's a topaz jewel. That topaz jewel is that the stone represents labor or faithful labor or strong worker or skill. And so what we see, but his name means this reward. Okay, and so here's what happens next. Zebulun, he's got this next jewel on there. He's the third one. The jewel represents dwelling, as does his name. So here's what the top row of the priestly breastplate says. There is praise, reward, and dwelling. That's the first row on the priestly. Now, here's what's wild. It's called the breastplate of judgment. That's what it's called, because the people are represented on here, right? And so here's what the high priest would do. He would go into the Holy of Holies, that Day of Atonement. And when he would go in there, he was wearing this breastplate. And it was these people, the people of God represented, are what's before God. So this mediator would go into the holy place where God would be dwelling, and on his heart is written the names of the people of God. and that's who would be represented, and they would be represented there. And so anytime that he was in the holy place, what was he doing? He was asking for forgiveness. He was sprinkling blood so that the judgment would pass and that the judgment wouldn't fall on the people of God. This is a really cool thing. Now, here's what's awesome. The people of Israel, the 12 tribes specifically, if you give them in order of birth and you read their names, if you read their names in order of birth, it is amazing. It's so cool. It tells a story. I'm gonna save that though, and I'm gonna share it later this week in the podcast. So that's why I want you to subscribe. I want you to be sure you're following, that you don't miss one. But today I want to encourage you in this. There is a lot in the priestly garments. Here's the one thing I will say. He says in verse number 15, I'm going to read verse 15. He says, "You shall make a breastplate of judgment in skilled work. In the style of the ephod you shall make it. Of gold, blue, purple, scarlet yarns, and fine twine linen you shall make it." Here's what I will say. The reason he says you shall make it in skilled work, there is an understanding in the world that a jewel is only as good as the way it's cut. The way a jewel is cut will give light the ability to do all kinds of cool things, right? So if a jewel is just flat and it's just a flat little rectangle and it has no actual cut to it or no design to it, light may hit it and it will still look really cool. The jewel will still shine, but whenever it is cut in a skillful way, it can make light do all kinds of things. Here's what I will explain about this. When God put this together, He wanted each of the people represented to shine in a way that's brilliant. All 12 of these stones are different. They all have a different hue. They all have a different, and there's a diamond in here, and there's also topaz in here, and there's also a ruby in here, and there's also an emerald in here, and there's also some of these stones may not be as precious as others to mankind, but these are all laid next to each other on the breastplate of the high priest, our mediator, and they all go before God. It does not matter where you come from, where you've been, what has happened in your life, the story of your life, the skill level you have, the type of attractiveness you can bring with whatever intellect or whatever skills or anything that you have. Listen to this. God's people we're all represented in the same place in the same time and all set in gold. That's how God views us. He doesn't see a diamond as more precious than anything else. He sees all of this together. It's His people who are cut beautifully and skillfully so that we're represented before God to shine light. A jewel is no good in the darkness. Do you realize that? A jewel is only good when the light hits it just right. If you ever go into a jewelry store, you'll see that they will set diamonds or any kind of jewels on a black piece of fabric. And if you look up in a jewelry store, what you'll see is lights are specifically designed to hit at certain angles. You'll see this in every jewelry store if they know what they're doing. Why? Because light makes the jewel come alive. Do you know whenever there's so much in this? Oh my goodness, I got to stop. I got to slow down. I know I'm to my time limit already. Here's what I will say. The priestly garments are not just a description of something cool to wear. It is intricately designed so that God can see and we're represented, God's represented, His holiness is represented from creation all the way to the consummation of everything that is all good. It's all in there. It's all in just what the priest is wearing. We look over this, we read over this text sometimes, and we just don't pay much attention to it. I want to encourage you today to know this. God has specifically designed you, and if you are His, you are on His heart. You are on His heart. And as Jesus is our mediator and still goes to God as a mediator for us right now, interceding for us, as it says in Romans 8, I want to encourage you that you are on His heart when He goes before a holy God. This is a beautiful piece of understanding on our part for us. I want to encourage you in this. Please, please, please don't take it for granted. Read Exodus 28 today and see what the Lord would have you to understand.